Okay, next up, as you can see, it's pretty much right next to where my computer is on the other side of the desk. This is actually my home server. It is an iQute, which is a silly name, Super 18 case. Initially when I bought it, I thought it was a good idea. I'm sort of regretting it now because it's a giant solid steel monstrosity. It weighs an absolute ton. I think it actually broke one of the feet on the bottom just with the weight of it, plus the weight of everything inside of it. I actually plan to upgrade my home server network soon. I just got to get the money for it, of course, as it always is the case. But yeah, so I'll show you a little bit around that. First of all, as you can see down here is my modem. It's a Billion 7800N wireless N gigabit router. It's also an ADSL2 modem, which I'm running just Big Pond ADSL2. I'm fortunate in my area where I'm pretty much maxing out the ADSL2 speed, so I'm getting around 23 megabits per second. I think the max is like 24, so I can download it like 2.5 megabytes, which is great. So I'm pretty lucky with that. I know some people out there, especially with ADSL, it's sort of hit and miss as to what you get, but I've been pretty lucky with that. So on the front, you'll notice these are, of course, Cooler Master again, but that isn't the reason I bought them, although it does help. These are actually, the blue, as you can tell, are obviously fans, but these are actually 4-in-3 modules. Now what that means is that I can have 4 hard drives in a space of where 3 CD-ROM, DVD-ROM drives can fit. So this helps. The case is pretty large to begin with, but it helps with extra space, and that's always good in a server, because trust me, they fill up pretty quick. So I've got 3 of those, so they are all pretty much full, to be honest, as you'll see in a minute. But as you can see, the top one there, that's 4, then another 4, and then this one has, I think, 3, because I don't need another one just yet. I've just put a 3 terabyte hard drive in there. So actually could keep me in space for a little while. Not as long as I'd like, but anyway. Okay, you can see on the side, don't know if you can see, the lighting's not that fantastic in here. But that is a, I think it's 140 millimeter, no. It's, I'd say 210 millimeter fan, I guess. It's one of those really big ones that spin quite slow, but it sucks in enough air to keep everything inside cool, and yeah, so it works quite well. Okay, I'll take this side panel off. Excuse the camera movement for a minute. Might see if I can turn on this light too, maybe that might help a little bit. Not much, it is daytime after all. Now, as you can see, I'm not the greatest at cable management, but it's actually a little bit hard in this case because of the fact that there's nowhere to put the cables. So this is running a Intel quad-core Q8400. So yeah, it's also got 4 gig of DDR3 1333 megahertz RAM. Just sort of generic stuff that came with the build. This was originally my old cheap sort of, sort of standard computer you'd buy off eBay or something. Nothing sort of fantastic. Not sort of custom like I'd like to do now, but I did buy it before I learned how to build them. So yeah. Okay, it's the motherboard is an Asus P5P43TD. It's an old, what was it? Oh, I can't remember what it is now. But it's an older board. You'll see here. Now, it doesn't usually make sense to put a video card in a server. However, sometimes I do need to have access directly to the machine. I can remote desktop in most of the time, but sometimes, especially during the boot process, I do need to have a screen. The good thing about having a TV as a monitor is the fact that I can have this TV actually has a VGA port on it as well. So I can simply change the channel to the VGA channel, and I won't have to plug in another monitor to switch between computer and server. So that's pretty cool. So I simply just have the old blue VGA connected into the back of it. The motherboard doesn't have onboard video, which is why I need that card. So, yeah. Below that, I don't know if you'll be able to see them. They're very tiny, just in there. Just right here, and there's one below it. They are just generic, sort of basic RAID cards. I found them on eBay for about, I'd say about $30, $40 each. I don't actually have the RAID set up. I actually use offline backups, which I'll show you in a minute. I prefer to do it that way because, yeah, I just don't like RAID, and if anything goes wrong, you know, having to rebuild the array, it's a whole sort of nightmare, so I don't really bother with it. Offline backups, you know, don't take that long, and they work just as well, so if actually probably better, in my opinion. So then, see if I try to get a bit of a angle on this light, might help a bit. This is a Seasonic 620 S2II, I think. I might have to look up those model numbers and put them in the description or something, but they are quite they're quite difficult to find. Sorry about that. But yeah, okay. So for the OS drive, don't know if you can see it down there, but it's actually just a old laptop drive, 2.5 inch. That one's I think a 300 gig one, but I know I don't really need that much for just the OS. But anyway, I found that saved by putting that down there. It saved me not only a hard drive space, but it runs a bit cooler and uses little less power than a full drive. So, and all I need to do is run Windows. So I'm actually running Windows Server 2012 Standard on this one. I did try the Essentials, but with having to create a domain, it caused a whole issue, and it took me about an hour to repair, so I just went with a standard one. I'm currently running the trial of the R2, because you've got till January next year before the trial expires, so I can give it a good go before I decide if I want to buy it or not. Before that, I did have Windows 8, but and it worked great. I just found that for a server, I thought probably best to put a server OS in it. Yeah, so that works well. Next, we have the hard drives. There's currently around 12 in here, mostly 2 terabyte ones. They're all Western Digital green drives. There's 2 1 terabyte ones. Majority of them, except for one, and the rest of them except for one, which is the bottom one, is the bottom one's a 3 terabyte. And the rest are 2 terabytes, I should say. I'm trying to think of a way to say it. But, yeah. So, I do actually have room with this case, if you can see down here. Down there, there's actually room to put another 6 drives. So I've never used that because then I have to go get fans for it. And those already got fans, so I don't really need the room just yet. So they seem to work quite well. So, yeah, as I mentioned before, I like to keep backups offline. As I told you before, with my hard drive docking station on my computer, I can simply put one of these in over here. I can put one of these in each, week or so. Run a incremental backup, and yeah, it takes about 10-20 minutes. I only need to update maybe 2 or 3 drives at this point because the rest are already full. So, yeah, that way if anything goes wrong, like a power surge or anything, I can simply put these drives in the case and be up and going again in a couple of minutes versus having to rebuild an array which can take hours and hours. So, yeah. that's my server. Next we'll move on to the cabling and where they lead, I guess.